it's so interesting because it was like it is the hardest thing I have ever done, right? But so rewarding and beautiful at the same time, right? Anytime you do something big, it's hard and scary. It's not easy. I reversed my autoimmune disease through diet change.
My guest today is Laurel Gallucci, who built Sweet Laurel from one homemade cake into a nationwide brand. This is a brand that has survived pandemics, losing a store to fire, and completely rebuilt themselves. This one's super interesting. You're not going to want to miss it.
So, Sweet Laurel is a grain-free, refined sugar-free, dairy-free bakery. Our goal is to bring nourishing, delicious, clean food to as many people as possible. And we do that by offering baked goods that ship nationwide on our website. And we have products in grocery stores across the country. We share recipes through our Instagram, our cookbooks. We
Mm-hmm.
have a blog. It's the education side of the brand. I had just been diagnosed with my autoimmune disease, and I had taken a year off of teaching. I was an elementary school teacher. I took a year off. In that year, I basically started cooking all my own food and became very experimental with what to eat. And I had brought a chocolate cake to my friend's housewarming party, and it turned into Sweet Laurel. That friend was my co-founder, Claire Thomas. She had this big picture. She let see the whole branch, and I think that's why the two of us worked together so well. That was 2015. We shared on social media. We were able to start teaching classes. Word started spreading about the brand, and within 2 months, we were featured on Goop. It was hilarious because everyone was like, "But where are they?" And we were like, "Right now, we're just online. We're just making food for people and sharing it." And so the brand developed in such a unique way, and it was quite special because we were able to get this devoted following, and that really served us when we launched our e-commerce business, opened our first brick-and-mortar, launched in grocery stores nationwide. That community that we built has just pounded the pavement for us and supported us so deeply. And we're so grateful for them always. Claire, my co-founder, had this vision for we need to get this into these people's hands and we need to share this with the community. I had also on my end come up with this simple approach to baking that was so foolproof in a way. I have this simple side of me where it's like, if I'm going to make something for myself, I'm not going to go to the store buy 50 ingredients. I want to work from the same canon, right? So I came up with my 5 core ingredient principle and this simple version of gluten-free baking and taking a step further, grain-free, refined sugar-free, and dairy-free baking. So we came up with the strategy of these workshops where we would cook, like share my story, and that really turned into demand. People were like, "Oh, can you make my wedding cake? Oh, can I buy this online?" And really pushed us into actually selling product. And that's when I zoned and permitted my apartment. And that's where we did our production for the first year. We rented our first commercial kitchen
Mm-hmm.
and started shipping cakes nationwide. And at the same time, we had locked in our first cookbook deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when that launched, it took us international, which
Mm-hmm.
was like this next stage of the brand. And so, yes, I was woefully unprepared for this journey I would go on. I came from school teaching, right? And I just think it's kind of funny when I transitioned into this entrepreneur stage, all I would be doing is learning by doing, especially when we first started. It was I made the cake. I delivered the cake. I invoiced the cake, sent the PayPal in. So it was like A to Z, right? And I remember at the time thinking, like, how is this going to grow outside of this? And then like grows into something beautiful where eventually I was supported by this amazing kitchen and warehouse team and back end operational team. And it's still so hard, but it changes as you grow, and being okay with that and being okay with not knowing everything. Okay, so in 2018, we were approached by an amazing developer in Los Angeles to open our first brick and mortar location. in a beautiful property called the Palisades Village. And my co-founder Claire and I were so delighted because both of us really grew up being in the Palisades, you know, all the things, friends, um, we live in Santa Monica. We were just there all the time. It felt like a second home, and it felt like such a beautiful place to start Sweet Laurel. They were looking for local businesses, and we were definitely a local
Yeah.
business, right? And also, been delivering cakes to all these, like, I feel like this is a good location
Yeah.
to start on the west side, and opened our first cake shop, and we called it Sweet Laurel Cake, Coffee, and Tea. It really was that home for our community. And there were days where I was there and, like, I might cry, but people would come up to me and tell me, with their eyes, like, thank you. Thanks for all this to people like us. And that's what I loved about it. So, 2018, we had like such a big first couple of years, and then COVID hit. It was hard to get through those years. We cannot close. We need to stay open. And when we're giving us a hard time for being open during COVID at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
especially, like, people were like, you should know better. You're healing food, but like you're keeping your store open and exposing people to possible, things. I know, like, we just like be as a joy for
Yeah.
people during this really difficult time. And so we stayed open, and it was very hard, but just a lot of adjustments had to be made. And then the year started the year with um, just the day ever for so many people in Los Angeles, which was the Palisades Fire. And like, I was so in shock after that. I couldn't believe the destruction, but it was like, it was just one of those things where I was so in shock for so long and could not believe what actually happened. And so the pivot at the time was to open up a pickup window at our Santa Monica commissary, which is where we had been producing for years. And we did that 1 year, and it was great. And we had to make the difficult decision to shutter that down and focus on our e-commerce and our grocery business and really grow that, so that, I think a couple years we'll be ready for brick and mortar again, just not right now.
Do you
It's
want to
just,
do brick and mortar again?
I really hope can.
Yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful way for people to experience the brand in a multi-sensory way. It's very important to our brand, and I want to be our community. But in the meantime, you know, people can website,
Yeah.
get things shipped to them. They can go to the grocery store and pick up Sweet Laurel and bake at home, and they can continue to use our recipes.
CPG is such a different
It's a different ballgame.
model from direct to consumer
Yeah.
and a storefront. Like,
Yeah.
what, how many do you see the main differences and the challenges between two?
I think for us, the biggest difference is, CPG companies fund very differently. Most people start with CPG,
Mm-hmm.
everything else, right? And I think that served us into a backwards served us in that we understood who our community was, how to reach them, how to rally, and they rallied behind us in grocery, which has been essential. Because oftentimes what founders will say in CPG is it's not getting on the shelf, it's selling what
Mm-hmm.
you're on the shelf.
Yeah.
That's the hardest CPG.
Yeah.
So you could Costco, which is huge for any brand, but you have to move product or you're out of there.
Yeah.
It's for selling the product, and that's where the pressure really sets in. It's like, how do you out not spending $1 billion? So you got to get creative.
Getting people to grab it off the shelves.
Yeah. So first, we like to stand out with product integrity. So just making it powerfully clear that our ingredients and our product is different, whether it's through the packaging, the actual taste of the product. Like, we are a different gluten-free brand.
Mm-hmm.
It does not taste like cardboard.
Yeah.
We are trained cacao and Himalayan pink salt in our products. This is not what other brands are doing. And then for us also, uh, call on, so anytime we launch a retailer, it's like, how do all of our community that lives in this city or this region to go into the store and support us.
Yeah.
So we have to use called Restock, which is an awesome form you can fill out on our website, and it just kind of tells us we want Sweet Laurel.
That's interesting.
They tell us the grocery stores, and then when we have a meeting with that grocery store, i.e. Whole Foods, I can say, we've had thousands ask us to be in Whole Foods. If we launch a retailer in a certain region, we can geo-target to, hey, like, we just launched in this store that's 10 miles away from you, like, please go check us out.
Do you think many other brands are doing the same kind of thing? Because I've never heard that the marketing list thing is actually super clever because you're selling yourself. That's...
Yeah. Some data.
Yeah.
But the ones that we're grateful for. But, I think a lot of brands, you kind of have to be creative in this industry, especially if you're not backed by a huge corporation that pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to have you on sale all the time.
Coming back to the COVID, the fires, and everything else, what do you think are decisions that have saved the business at this point? Is it moving the focus now on CPG? Is it streamlining? Is it consolidating before you thinking of expanding?
Yeah. I think diversifying has served us. Like having, I think, different people in our community has always served us. Whether it's having e-commerce, providing the recipes, having that brick and mortar presence, like the diversification of it has always served us. Right now, we're in a place where our goal is a business at this time healthy and sustainable, profitable. It always needs to be so that we can grow further, right? And that's been really too. I think going through the really hard times, it was like just having that mindset of like we have to move. There's no other option because we have to keep walking forward. So it's like having mindset forward, but also having the team that supports that. Like we don't have option. We are going to go forward. We're going to persevere.
So clarity, part of the business, she's your business partner as well. How do you find that dynamic having a partner in your business?
Yeah. For us, we've been able to really work on each other's strengths, dynamics. I think you have to find the right person, right? It's all about you being able to work as a team.
What do you think the biggest challenge? I mean, I run the wife and we have very different skill dynamics. What's the biggest challenge?
I think built on trust. I think that's number one.
Yeah.
And afraid things, we need to say things obviously, but trust is most.
Yeah, I think so. Trust that me being able to disagree, but in like you're not always right about everything, and it's okay.
Another is just like how and when to your voice, when to stay quiet, when to listen, when to speak. There's that.
What do you think of the biggest challenge in the next phase for Sweet Laurel?
I think it's like now what we're trying to do is make sure we're meeting our community where they are and getting into like the retailers we need to be in, focusing big picture I brand, which is like trying to reach as people as possible, trying to just open the brand on, keep the vision the same, but like making sure like being like just are just happy, right?
Would you say your community drives a lot of your product development and what you're thinking?
Yeah, we get feedback from community, and the nice to have about having a website is we could launch something on our website, see how it sells, see how people respond to it, and use that data for our next grocery product. Yeah. And really, most of our grocery products have come from something that sold on our e-commerce business extremely well.
I want to ask some kind of more business insight questions. So what do you think most food businesses get right?
Well, it depends what kind of food business. Like if you are a brick-and-mortar, I think it's different than if you're a consumer brand, right? Or a consumer product brand.
Since you've done both with maybe a brick-and-mortar and then the CPG side.
So brick-and-mortar, I think diversification within you're doing is so important. It's like for brick-and-mortar survive, you have to have either the most baller or you need to be doing more than one thing, right? Yeah. So a coffee shop sells sandwiches. They're going to do better You know what I mean?
So you said diversity is the most important for a brick and mortar. So what about the CPG side? What do you think most businesses are missing there?
Yeah, I think in CPG, like really understanding how to dial in and motivate your community is so important. Um, right now, people are so much success in like influencer marketing and those things, like being open to that, having that be a big element of the brand. But the CPG, everything costs a lot of money. So just knowing that going into it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Getting into this pound the pavement and actually buy it, like it all costs $1. So just go into that knowing that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And how many people are getting it to a distributor, get stored at the distributor, getting the distributor to the final person?
The operational nightmare side of it.
What do you think underestimate about running a food brand in general?
Making sure you really under community and your demographic and catering to them so that you can continue to grow that, you know.
Yeah. If you were going to do this again and start from scratch, what would you do different?
You know, I have to okay with asking for help, asking for all the help in the world. And, you know, that's really to accept sometimes, but I need to be okay with that. And, you know, when you a food business, you need to understand like this is going to take a lot from you. Are you okay? Are you ready for that?
Okay, 2 more questions. The 10-year question I like to ask everyone. 10 years from now, you can pull yourself back from the future. What would you want to ask future Laurel?
Oh, I think I would say like, are you happy with how much time you're spending with your family? Like, are you happy with how you're spending your time?
Yeah.
Because that's time management is something that I constantly work. Learn skill sets like compartmentalization.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win. You can't do it all. And like for me, technology is a trigger. So like if my phone's not present, my mental to engage with family and all that is so much greater.
No.
So I've done things like, hey, from this time to look or touch my phone. It's family time.
Yeah.
And like kind of letting people know beforehand so they know this is my family time. I'm not gonna be available. You kind of have to have strategies that work for you and your situation.
Last question is, what is your advice to someone who wants to start a business today? What is your one piece of advice?
I think support system, whether that's family, spouse, friends, really important. And you know, asking it like, am I going to be of uncertainty? Am I going to be okay with a different thing every day? And just being like, you know what? I'm going to work on my resilience, or no, I have a ton of resilience. I'm good. Yeah. You know, I think just ask tough questions before you just fully jump into it. And maybe, you know, this is something I share with people is like, once you have the mentors, people you can call, people that are in it that you can relate to, and perhaps talk with people before you start. I didn't do that because I didn't really know what Sweet Laurel was going to become. Right? Mm-hmm, yeah. We just kind of jumped into it both. But I do think you have an idea and you know what industry, you know what, you know, where you want to, like 3 or 4 people talk to and interview before you start and just kind of ask for their advice. At different of my business, there were different people on speed dial for me where it was like, I'm opening my career. What do I do? Yeah. You know, or you just do have for me, like you just, it's important to have a community.
Want to tell people how they can find you, Sweet Laurel, and how they can follow you?
Yes. So Sweet Laurel, you can find our website, www.sweetlaurel.com. We're on Instagram at Laurel Bakery. You can also follow at Laurel Gallucci, just my first and last name. And on our website, you find our blog, our products, our recipes, what have you. Our cookbooks are available, books are sold. And yeah, I hope guys in our community one day.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for real business, real lessons each week. And check out my interview with Dom, who turned his apartment into a coffee shop focused around community and making profit. It's worth the watch. I'll post it up just here. Big love.